And I membership, we have 400 to so many quorum sheet.
Sorry, quick question. Are we not going to have people sign it?
Because I don't think
So
we
we're
should
just going to see how many you have.
Well, we count. I think it might be helpful just to have a count.
Right, okay.
Why don't you take a count?
And then,
Okay, thanks.
is Amy on Zoom?
I believe she is.
Okay, she's teaching something. But they should have just stayed on Zoom.
And then we should be.
Right. I don't know
Yes.
if that was activated.
35 right now, plus we go around.
Right. That's, he's going to check with Tom. That's how many are in here? Yeah. All of them? Okay. We need 43. I mean 42, but we're not voting. So, but it would just be nice to know. I know, because I can't catch everything.
I know.
So this
I want to
fills in-
keep my copy, so
Yeah.
I just ran one of these.
Okay, so I just talked to him on the live stream.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Okay, we'll get her going.
Yeah, okay.
Morning, everybody. Oh, we do have some awake people out there, so that's good. I feel a little sleepy, so slept myself. The sparkles out there on that first face mask are going to keep me awake. I need my sunglasses. Holy smokers. Anyway, it's time to start the meeting. Appreciate you all coming, and there may be some that are viewing via Zoom or YouTube online. We are, Article 8 of our Constitution and bylaws of our congregation requires that in addition to an annual corporate meeting, 2 congregational meetings of the members of the congregation shall be held each year. These meetings shall provide opportunities for communication and updates from the various ministries, project groups, committees, and leadership team with the members of the congregation. All active members of the congregation are eligible to fully participate. Visitors are welcome to the meeting, but are requested to refrain from direct participation. In normal times, we would ask all present, whether in person or online, to sign in, but due to COVID and safety, we will not be doing so for this meeting, but we will be taking a head count and also tallying, just more for informational purposes, how many folks are viewing and participating online. So we do not have any scheduled votes today, so a quorum is not needed. In addition to those physically present, members may also call in on their phone by dialing, and the number is 312-626-6799. And then there's an ID number of 699-742-497. You can also access the meeting via Zoom, and the access information was highlighted on our email of October 14th. I would like to identify those who have agreed to serve as tellers for this meeting. And who do we have today? Chris Mall is a teller, and is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, and John Kyle. So basically, if you're going to speak, we need to identify yourself, state your name, and they'll bring over a mic. Please wait for the mic if you're speaking so everyone can hear you. Also, according to Article 8 of our bylaws, all meetings of this church shall be conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order, and fittingly, our parliamentary person this year is Robert, and that's Bob Johnson. So Bob's in the front row there. I now call to order the fall congregational meeting of 2020 of the First Congregational United Church of Christ of Oconomowoc. I call upon Pastor Dave Vichneff to lead us in an opening prayer.
Will you bow in prayer with me, please? Savior and Lord, we gather this morning in fellowship to conduct the business of this, your church, your body. We thank you that you are always with us, and we praise you for your love for each and every one of us. We give our unending thanks for your sacrifice, for your forgiveness, and for the gift of your gospel. We thank you that by your work that we have access to God the Father, our Creator. We worship you and pray that you would be honored by this meeting, for we pray in your sacred name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I now call upon our treasurer, Jim Natalicio, to give us an update of our financial situation. Thank you, Jim.
Good morning. It's going to be short and sweet. We're pretty much on target with everything through August. I don't even know if did anybody even get financials? There was no handouts, right? So no one's got them. But our pledges are right on pace, and our expenses are kind of behind what we had expected so far. The only thing that, this is through August, I don't have the September's in front of me. I think there were some bills for the siding and so forth that were done, which will make our expenses a little bit above what the budget was. However, we're expecting the PPP loan to come through and be forgiven. And once that is, then we can use that to offset that. We have not got the online application available to us yet. I met with Alicia, and we've got everything ready to go as soon as we get that application, and we can put that in for forgiveness. But so far, we haven't had anything to submit yet. So I don't see any way that we wouldn't get it forgiven, but who knows? You never know for sure. But the SBA has not started approving any of those forgivenesses yet anyway. So even though our bank hasn't given us the application, even if they did, nothing would have happened with it so far. The one you can't see anything, but there is a negative amount on the golf outing right now. There's some deposits that haven't come in yet, so if you saw that, don't be alarmed. We're not negative $5,000 on the golf outing. Any questions? All righty.
Thank you, Jim. Actually, I think it's pretty amazing in this COVID time that the pledges have maintained. As you can see, when you come to church, those that do show up on a pretty regular basis, you know, we don't get 150 people in the pews. It's a lot of times it's 50, 60, 45, those kinds of numbers. But people have done a great job in keeping up with their pledges, so it really is appreciated. I now call upon Pastor David Schnepp to give us a senior pastor's report.
Please allow me to begin by saying that I don't believe that any of us could have imagined at this congregational meeting, if we were looking ahead from 6 months ago, that we would still be in the midst of the COVID crisis. From the end of February 2020, COVID has claimed over 219,000 lives, and over 8 million people have contracted the COVID virus. As a church, it remains a challenge to reach out and to serve this congregation and fulfill our vision under the cloud of that virus. As a staff, we've tried faithfully to serve you, but everything we do, we've had to reinvent in a creative manner because of the demands of COVID. But changes have been made, and we are moving forward the best we can under the circumstances, while taking steps to make certain that everyone is safe to the best of our ability. First, in March, we began to record our worship services and to show them over the internet. In June, we moved from only online services to both in-person and online viewing, giving the members of our congregation the opportunity to worship in the way that they felt most comfortable. There are still many of our neighboring churches, both UCC and of other faiths, that still have not opened. And I've talked to some that don't plan to open until the spring of 2021. We were one of the very first in our community to offer in-person worship. In our attempts to keep people safe from the virus, we've instituted many steps, such as social distancing with our seating, holding attendance to 25% of what our sanctuary can hold, no singing, no children's moments, no coffee hour, using no bulletins or hymnals or pew Bibles. We try to leave the front doors open, the water fountains are taped off, and the hand sanitizers and masks are provided for everyone, just to name a few. I know that attendance is a concern for everyone, but I'd like to report that even though these are strange times, we've had 10 people who have made a decision to join our congregation. Most all of these people were visiting us before COVID struck. They include Lexi and Eric Prince, Peter and Linda Davis, Kevin and Tony Guyton, Gary Phillips, Hannah Phillips, and 2 of our confirmands that were confirmed over the internet, Sophie Dempsey and Megan Hawk. I continue to do my best to bring you quality sermons and to reach out to those in need. The series on Revelation has brought several positive comments. And I want to thank those who attend our Bible study via Zoom every Thursday night as a follow-up to Sunday sermon. We've had great discussions, and I appreciate the faithfulness of those folks very much in their attendance and in participation. So what I'm trying to share with you is that we as a church are still alive and working very hard to serve our community and our congregation. Our preschool, Hearts and Hands, Head Start, and our GED program continue to meet during the week. I've had many discussions with Jen Coliff, who is the director of our GED program downstairs, about what we need to do to meet the requirements of the school, the requirements of the church, so that the youth can still continue to come to school and complete the credits that they need to graduate. Our attendance has been down, both some in church and Sunday school, but it's not because Amy and I aren't doing everything that we can. Life is not the same as it was in the past right now, and it might not be the same for a long time to come. We don't know, as we're all aware. I ask you to pray for our church, to pray for those who are suffering in so many ways because of the virus, and to pray that this virus and its effects will soon end. That one day we can say, remember back when we were in the midst of the virus. I look forward to that time. Even though we're in the midst of a challenge, as we look out on our culture and our community, our unemployment rate is very high. Many families live paycheck to paycheck, and some are not even able to pay their rent. I recently heard on the news that 1 out of every 5 children in our country goes to bed hungry at night. So I'd like to challenge you. In approximately 4 weeks, Thanksgiving will be here. Like many of you, our family's always been blessed with plenty to eat on Thanksgiving. So I'd like to challenge you as a congregation to bring in 1,000 cans of food that we can give to the Oconomowoc Food Pantry. Please don't just bring corn and green beans. And in case you're curious, that's only a little over 2 cans per member. And if you use the coupons, the buy one, get one, you can actually almost do it for free. Food pantries also need a variety like canned potatoes, meat, shelf milk, and fruit. And I'll provide a box or a basket at the church entrance outside for people to drop their canned goods in as they drive by, so they don't even have to come by. And I'll put another one in the office for those who would like to drop their canned goods off during the week. The members of our congregation helped to start the Oconomowoc Food Pantry. And if the pantry cannot use all of the 1,000 cans of food, then we'll share it with some of the other food pantries in the greater Milwaukee area. I apologize for not informing the mission team of this idea, but I hope that all of you will support it in a big way. The children can help us count the cans, and we can deliver them closer to the day of Thanksgiving. I realize that many of you may have some questions, but this is something that we can do safely now to make a big difference in our community for the families who are hurting. I don't know how Advent and Christmas will be changed by COVID traditions this year, but undoubtedly they may have to be a little bit different from the traditions that we've enjoyed. There's a lot of fear in our culture right now. Fear of losing a job, fear of losing a place to live, fear of the division in our nation. So it got me thinking. I wonder if Joseph was a little bit afraid inside of taking his fiancée, Mary, on a 90-mile ride on the back of a donkey when she was so close for the time for her to be delivered. And I wonder if Mary wasn't even a little bit afraid of having to deliver a child with no family, no close relatives around her, out in the middle of a stable in a feeding trough at the age of 13 or so. I wonder if the Magi weren't a little bit concerned too. What if Herod caught them on the way back, leaving by a different route? What Herod might try to do to them. So join us this Advent and Christmas season as we hear the words of the angel, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of a Savior who is born to us this day in the city of David." Come and worship with us as we do some things differently this year. During this time with COVID, has been extremely stressful, especially and tiring for the members of your church staff. As I talk with fellow pastors and colleagues, there's a sense of exhaustion among many of us. And I'd like to thank every one of our staff members for their flexibility and for their commitment to serving this congregation. But in addition to COVID, some have been experiencing kind of an extra source of trauma. And these are just a few examples that I thought of. I lost my dad on January 10th, suffered a stroke on February the 13th. I continue to feel some of the effects of both of those. Luke lost his beloved wife Carol just a few weeks ago, and we extend our love and our grace to all of their family. Amy recently tested positive for the COVID, along with several members of her family. She's well now, been through quarantine, and she is fine. And I am certain that there are others, but please keep the church staff in your prayers. Before I conclude, I'd like to offer a few words of thanks and gratitude. A big word of thanks goes out to the Wednesday morning breakfast crew who have been working on Wednesdays and Saturday mornings to replace the siding on the exterior of our church building. They have worked very hard and have saved the church a tremendous amount of money. And my sincere gratitude is extended to each and every one of our volunteers. I'd also like to thank our audiovisual team. They have worked extremely hard during this time of COVID. A small group came into the church with me every Saturday morning for 3 months to help us record the services before we worshiped in person. In addition, we've been learning how to do many things as circumstances have required. As a result, from a financial gift, a new server and a new computer and some badly needed software updates in the audiovisual booth and in the church office are being in the process of being installed. I'd like to thank Dave Debick for updating our equipment and doing all of this work as a volunteer without invoicing the church. Last of all, I'd like to thank my family, especially Christy, for her help and support. I appreciate it more than I can ever express with words. And lastly, may God be praised as we work faithfully together to advance the kingdom of God in our community of Oconomowoc together. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I'd like to now call upon our Director of Youth, Amy Drua. Here she comes. It's good to see you again, Amy.
And for you guys. Well, good morning, everybody. Whew. It has been an exhausting, fun, and energetic morning. We had Sunday school with our youth, so that's been fun, and we have our youth group. So if you're looking to see some excitement and some fun and some energy, pop downstairs and take a look. They're playing a bunch of fun games, and it's been an amazing morning. Well, first of all, I would like to start off by saying hi and thank you to each and every one of you. The prayers, the thoughts, the support, the cards, and the plenty of offers meant so much to my family and I during this time. We greatly appreciate it all. We were very lucky and very fortunate to have experienced pretty mild symptoms in the grand scheme of things. My husband and I, our daughter Grace, and our son Braden all had a wide variety of symptoms. Thank goodness our youngest daughter Evelyn had just a stuffy nose for a couple days. I don't think I could have watched her go through this either. My husband and I were quarantined for 2 weeks. Our children were isolated for 24 days due to the recommendations of the health department and the school guidelines. So I was at home taking care of them and being able to provide for them. Thank goodness for Zoom and the remote access that I was still able to continue to work. I was a mom, I was a nurse, I was a teacher, I was a cook, I was a maid, and I was a working mom. It was fun, it was crazy, and there were times we literally just had to throw our hands up and laugh, because that's all you can do at that moment. So thank you so much for your prayers, because without them, I don't think we would have been able to get through it. So thank you. But to be honest, this year I think we've all found ourselves throwing our hands up from time to time. You know, back in our June meeting, our congregational meeting, I didn't think that we'd still be doing this come October, possibly November, and December. We all had to adjust. We all had to adapt. And we're all learning to be extremely flexible. We've also learned a ton of new skills. So thank you for all your patience as we're all learning together through this time. Through this time, I've also been able to attend a ton of conferences because I don't have that time where I have to travel to attend these. I can simply jump on Zoom and be a part of them. So with that, I have made several new relationships and communications with other Christian educators around the country and even around the world. It has been an amazing experience, and I've learned so much and have gained so much knowledge and also ideas that we can bring back to our congregation. We're not alone in this, guys. We're here to work together in this church, in this community, in this state, and in this world. We're here together. And together we will get through this. And if you guys want to look at things from a Christian educator standpoint, we're doing fairly well in this church. We are offering many programs where many other churches are not offering them at this time. So we are very fortunate. We're very lucky. And I'd like to share some of those opportunities that we are offering here in this church. We are still offering Sunday school for our children, youth, and families to engage in their Christian education in person, but also at home, where it's so important to be had there too. One of the options we're offering is a virtual Sunday school classroom, which is for our children, youth, and families to engage at home whenever is accommodating for them. Families are able to access a new lesson plan each week and for a different age group on our whiteboard. They can also interact and have fun with our classroom by clicking on different objects to hear the Bible stories of the month, children's messages, music, or games. Each week, there's something new for them to explore and learn. Another option we're offering is in-person Sunday school sessions. The second Sunday of each month is for our 3 years old through 5th graders. The third Sunday of each month is for our 6th through 12th graders, which was today. These classes were meeting outside, but with this beautiful Wisconsin weather we have, we are now meeting inside in our middle school classroom, our high school classroom, and our atrium. To maintain social distancing, we are asking to keep their distance from each other. Other measures that we are putting into place is to keep our kids and our volunteers healthy, our temperature checks, hand sanitizing, and having our youth group and youth sign up to attend each session. And with that, we're limiting the amount of kids we're able to have. The third option that we are offering is Zoom sessions for our 6th through 12th graders on the Sundays that we are not meeting in person. This group is then broken up between 6th through 8th graders that meet at a certain time, and then 9th through 12th graders at another time, so we can allow for age-appropriate discussions. To offer these opportunities, we are looking for individuals who are willing to embrace, inspire, and engage our youth on their faith journey. We are asking each and every one to prayerfully consider in some type of way or capacity to volunteer. If you're interested, please contact Katie Schmidt or myself or any other person on education ministry. It takes a church community to make all of these programs successful. And together, we are a team to support our youth programs, which are so important to this congregation. We're also offering monthly youth groups still. Like I said, today, they're having a bunch of fun playing games downstairs. And those are in-person sessions. We have our 3rd through 8th graders, which is our junior youth, and they just created a prayer wall. When you walked in, it's that wall right out there. Take a moment, if you didn't see it, and add a prayer. There's different color fabrics that represent different things. Take that piece of fabric, hold it in your hand, and say a prayer. Give that prayer, and then tie it on to that wall. Eventually, over time, we'll have a beautiful masterpiece that God has brought us together to pray for others. So also, one new thing that we are doing is we are aligning our Sunday school programs with our youth programs starting next month. Currently, our junior youth is 3rd through 8th grade. If you had heard that we have our Sunday schools kind of splitting them in half then on different Sundays. So we would like to align our youth groups to meet the same Sundays that they're meeting in person for Sunday school. So starting next month, the 2nd Sunday will be 3rd graders through 5th graders, and then the 3rd Sunday, 6th graders through 12th graders. We'll be meeting for our youth groups. Our confirmation. We are still offering our confirmation program. And obviously, it's going to look a little different than in years past. But Pastor Dave and I are dedicated to make this a fun, engaging, and meaningful experience for all those who are participating. This year, we have 5 individuals who will be participating with us. And our first session was canceled due to me being out. So we can't wait to get together and get it going in November. There will not be a retreat per se at Pilgrim Center, as Pilgrim Center has canceled all of their camps until possibly summer, and summer might even possibly cancel too yet. So we're keeping an eye on them, and please keep them and the UCCI camps in your prayers as they continue to go through this pandemic. A new program that I'm going to begin to offer on Tuesdays, this Tuesday, October 20th, is a young adult Zoom gathering for us to catch up, take time in prayer, and also do a devotion and be together. I will take their lead to see if this is something that they want to continue weekly or monthly. And again, this is for our young adults, so our college-aged adults. We're also getting ready to send out our young adult care packages, which these young adults could use at this time, as they're spread out all over, and some of them are still just at home, but they can still receive something from their church family, letting them know that we're thinking of them, we're praying for them, and they mean a lot to us. Those will be sent out the middle of November. This year, we are still going to offer a Christmas pageant, and I hope all of you guys are going to get in the Christmas spirit. I know it drives our staff crazy to get them in the Christmas spirit in October, but it's going to look a little different. Rebecca and I are working together, and it's going to be recorded and some live themes coming together. So watch your emails, as more information will be available soon. It's going to be unlike any other Christmas pageant we've ever done. I'm also working with Pastor Dave, Luke, and Carl to figure out what Advent's going to look like this season. We're going to be working hard, and we'll be truly dedicated to making it a wonderful experience for all. That was all of education, so now I'm going to move on to our mission report. So you're getting 3 reports from me, sorry guys. Our mission ministry just met this past Tuesday, and I'm so excited for the opportunities that we are going to be offering in the next few months. These opportunities are wonderful ways of how we can all continue to be the church and serve others during this time. The first one, we are going to be working with the Southeast Association to offer a mission match day. On November 22nd, all donations made will be matched by the UCC up to $30,000. Together, we are going to be raising funds for 3 wonderful programs that our church has participated in the greater Milwaukee in years past. The first one is the Guest House, which is a ministry for homeless. The second is Freedom's Community Ministry, and that is a food pantry ministry. The third one is St. Ben's Meal Program, which is a free meal ministry for people in Milwaukee. Please watch for more information, and in the coming weeks, Andrew will have that information for us, and prayerfully consider how you can donate to these 3 amazing programs that can help many, many individuals. With everything going on this year, we weren't sure if we'd be able to have our holiday giving tree, which supports the Christmas Clearing Council. Mission Ministry voted that we're still doing this, and we're going to have fun with it, and we are going to adopt 5 families that we can provide gifts for. So, this is going to be a virtual Christmas tree instead of the one that's going to be hanging out there where you can just grab your tag off. You're going to be able to click on our Christmas tree to get your tag and sign up that way. So those who are able to come in or prefer to worship at home can still participate in this wonderful program. We will also have drop-off bins for you to drop your Christmas gift off, or you can contact myself or Mike Stevens, and we will provide a way to pick up the item from your home, whichever is easier for you. More information about that will be coming, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, as you are aware, our original 2020 mission trip to Virginia Beach was postponed to 2021. As of now, which everything can change, we are being very hopeful and very optimistic that we will still be able to participate in our Virginia Beach mission trip July 24th through the 31st of 2021. Obviously, we're going to be very creative and find some fun and safe ways to still fundraise for our youth to attend this trip. I think it's going to be a really fun and successful trip as we adventure into 2021. Sorry guys, that was a super long report. I appreciate your patience, and again, thank you so much for your love, your support, and your prayers. Any questions? I know it was a lot I threw at you. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you, Amy. That was a lot of stuff in there. There's really a lot going on in education and youth ministry, and we're very fortunate to have so much going in this time. And positivity, you know, you mentioned a little bit about the mission trip being canceled this summer, but also, you know, the youth on the mission trip did show up here for one day, and they really worked hard. And they got so much done around the church that day. They painted and they cleaned and they scraped and they pulled weeds and did all that kinds of things. So in addition to the Zacharias Acres, for you that aren't aware, they did a great job, and we'd still be working, trying to get the stuff that they were able to do in one day. So that was a big deal for us. We now move to the portion, actually Amy jumped ahead there a little bit and took care of mission and education. And I don't know if there was a third one in there or not, but it's time that we ask the ministries to each give hopefully we have a representative here and somebody can give a brief report. As moderator, I will be reporting for the leadership team. 2020 has been a challenger for our church. Pastor Dave's stroke, in February. Jennifer and Alicia, both starting in March, and the COVID pandemic beginning at the same time. We opened our church service in June for live services. The pandemic caused us to change our worship service and combine the traditional service and the connection service and go with one service starting on Rally Day. We know that this service style is not totally satisfactory to anyone, but we pray and hope that all of us can give a little bit for the greater good. I want to share what leadership has been doing since our spring congregational meeting, and we still go back to Dr. Goodwin's report that we got in our hands last November, so a year ago, and we follow a lot, or we're attempting to follow many of the guidelines and action items that were in that report. That report has been available to everyone in this church. At least the executive summary has been online. It's available in the office if you haven't read it, and the entire report is available in the office if you'd like to read it in its entirety. There were about 17 action items in there. We decided that's way too much for us to tackle at one time, so we boiled it down to 5 that we kind of thought were key. And from there, we've kind of stressed one, at least, to finish out this year. Those action items are kind of in general categories, such as accountability. And accountability means all of us are accountable to make this church go. That's us as members, that's us as leadership team, that's the various ministries, and that's also the staff. So we have the accountability part. We're working on changing. One of the things that was pointed out in that report is that we are we don't want to address issues typically, and we're working real hard. If there's something that's staring at us, it needs to be addressed, and we're not looking the other way. So we are identifying and addressing issues as they come up. That risk-avoidant behavior is a big deal. We're continuing to implement our vision and goals. The vision is up there, very visible, to engage, inspire, and connect. You see it on all of the literature that goes out. You see it in front. You see it in kind of everything we do. And we're challenging all the ministries now to bring that as part of their ministry goals. Tie it all around our vision, please. We also want to communicate and implement our vision by telling a story. So there needs to be a story behind something. It's not just a statement, but there's a story, and you've seen that a lot on the Facebook page. And Katie Schmidt worked very hard on telling stories out there that are meaningful and relatable for everyone. Part of our goals, though, we defined is connecting is a big part of it. And we met with all of the chairs of the ministries and other members of the ministries on October 4th and sat down as a leadership team with them and explained where we're going and looking for buy-in from everybody as we move forward. And as far as the connection and inspire, we set some goals out for them. And we're following, we all, as leadership team, read this book and tried to bring it forward in what we're doing. It has to do with objectives and key results. So we're picking out some things that we think are important to do, but then it's not just throwing something out there as objective. What do we expect to get as an end result of what we're pushing forward? And so when we met with each of the ministries, we put some expectations out for each of the ministries for the next quarter. And a lot of them have to do with growth. And you can see we've been pushing for some growth and asking folks to join us, and we're hoping that all of us as congregants of the church will do the same. So members are expected to connect with visitors and the community, telling their story on why we love our church. We're asking that at least 25 members will share their story and invite friends, family, and acquaintances to join a service in the first quarter. At least 10 members will share their story in video format to post on the website. We're going to redesign our brochure to reflect our vision, our story, and benefits to others. Another key item in our audit was our over-reliance on fundraisers to balance our budget. This year was much more inspirational, and because a church family pre-funded our fundraisers, we were able to use the golf outing profits for outreach. For those, I think that was reported, I know it was reported, but we raised over $25,000 that day, and the proceeds went entirely to Family Promise. They've been struggling this year, and it's gone a long way towards helping those families that are struggling and are homeless. So it's a big deal, and it's a big deal that we try and work forward to offer outreach. Okay? It's more than just being in the pews on Sundays. It's what can we do in the community to make a difference in other people's lives. The leadership goal for 2020 as presented and voted on at the annual meeting in January was to communicate and implement our vision and engage and inspire all generations to connect with God through love and service. To that end, we support the effort to strengthen the adult Christian education ministry, support and lead in efforts to grow our church, and fully support the efforts of all ministries, fundraisers, and project groups. Under the umbrella of the leadership team are the Pastoral Relations and Staff Support Committee, the Personnel Committee, and the Long Range Planning Committee, and the Nominating Committee. Is there anyone from any of those committees that would like to come forward and say anything? We do have one. Julie? Palm?
Hi, I'm Julie Palm. I'm representing Pastoral Relations and Staff Support. The other members of our group are Barb Moeller, Don McCullum, and Amy Middleton. Our group is a little different. I can't really give you a report because in general we work in a confidential manner. We support our pastor and the office staff and try to help work through concerns, challenges, problems, conflicts in a positive way. And we'd like to let you all know that we are here for our congregation as well. If you have a concern or a conflict with our pastor or our office staff, we'd like to be your first stop to help work through any of those challenges in a real positive way. The ultimate goal would be to meet directly with any parties that are involved so that it isn't a secret discussion, that we will keep confidentiality, but our goal would be the parties involved to ultimately come together and have a positive communication and discussion to work through it, and we would be there as support for that. So just kind of wanted to say that since we are new to the committee. It is not a new group, but the four of us are new to the committee. So just so you know our faces and what our goals are.
Thank you, Julie. And our nominating committee will be meeting here in the next month or so and starting their task of coming up with people to fill the ministries. Bob Johnson had done a chart a while back at one of our leadership, and I think the number that you came up to fill all the ministries in totality was something like 78 or 79, wasn't it, Bob?
84.
84, so I undershot a little bit. So it's a big effort by a lot of people to make these ministries and committees and go. So it's a big deal. And if you have an interest in participating in any of them, including the leadership team, and one of leadership's goals and something we've taken seriously is to have a continuity of leadership. We want to grow leaders in this church, and we have many just super talented people here and very dedicated people, and that was pointed out in that Dr. Goodwin report. My term as moderator will be done in the end of January. There will be a successor that comes out of leadership this year. We're not at a point to announce that yet because it does need to go through nominating and be approved by the congregation, but there is a succession plan for me, the clerk, and we do need to fill 2 or 3 spots on leadership. We've got people that we've asked, but if somebody really has an interest, we'd love to have you. So at this point, I'd like to call on John Kyle to represent administrative ministry.
The administrative ministry members are Craig Bobowitz, Bob Frick, John Kyle, Ken Lau, Jim Meyer, and Dan Moldenhauer. Jim Natlizio and Pastor Dave also attend our meetings, and Mike Higby is our leadership liaison. The administrative ministry has been meeting in person since June, several times meeting outside. One of our tasks is to do a monthly review of the church budget. It's been a pleasant surprise for us to find that we are in relatively good financial shape, especially considering the crazy times we are all experiencing. We want to extend a great big congratulations and thank you to all of our congregational members that have been keeping up with their monthly pledges for 2020. Sue Weber, the custodian, reported that the hot water heater for the dishwasher in the kitchen was leaking. The water to the heater has been turned off, the tank has been drained, and the breakers to the hot water tank and dishwasher have been turned off. Since that was done, we have received a request from the head start cook to be able to use the dishwasher. We've obtained a proposal from Mumart's Plumbing to replace the water heater at a cost of $950. We'll be making a decision about this at our upcoming meeting this Tuesday. We received a proposal from Cindy Meckel for a church disinfection by a company named Micro-Free Solutions. After discussions with leadership and resolving some issues we had raised, the decision was made to go ahead with this project. Thank you to the Hearts and Hands Preschool who agreed to fund this entire project to hopefully make our church building a safer place for all of us to meet. So thank you, Cindy, and all of your people. A major task we have been undertaking is the development of a preventive maintenance schedule for the church and the promotion of a comprehensive capital program to be tied to our upcoming stewardship program. Jim Meyer has been spearheading these projects. The goal of these projects is to have the funds needed for major maintenance projects that are needed to maintain our church physical structure. Just to emphasize the need for such a program, we received this past week a quote from Ahern Fire Suppression Company for just over $4,000 for fire protection system deficiency repairs that need to be completed. A major challenge in the administrative ministry has been meeting these unexpected needs as they arise. At the May congregational meeting, I reported the administrative ministry had received quotes from 2 companies to reside the church building, ranging from $230,000 to almost $300,000. The Wednesday morning men's breakfast group discussed these options and came to administrative ministry with a proposal to do the work ourselves rather than hiring an outside firm to do the work. Administrative ministry formed the church siting project group, and a group of men have been working Wednesday mornings and Saturdays since June, weather and schedules permitting, to replace much of the trim on the kitchen end of the church, the fellowship hall side of the church near the upper parking lot, and the trim near the office side of the church near the lower parking lot. We've completed about as much as we can at this time. Much of the additional work is high on the church building and will require a lift to complete. Dave Grosskopf from Grosskopf Construction will have a crew here starting this week and will begin working on the remaining trim that needs to be replaced, especially around the bell tower. Special thanks to Fred Stanke, George Moeller, and Jim Zajac, who have been heading up this project, and the numerous individuals who have given their time to make this project a reality. To date, the project has cost about $7,800. Grosskopf has placed a rather large additional trim order, and we also will be charged for their labor and lift rental, but overall, this project is being completed at a substantial savings compared to the original estimates. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, John. The next thing on the docket was the education ministry. I think Amy already took care of that one, but I think, Cindy, did you have anything that you wanted to add about preschool?
Preschool and family promise.
Awesome.
I made a list so I don't go on and on. All right.
Well, you're lucky, the Packer game's not till
I know. I would have been like, no update if there was a Packer game. So. We don't mind that. We don't worry about that one. Good morning. I'm Cindy Meckel. I'm going to start. Sorry, Bill. Going to start with Family Promise. So, since the pandemic hit, Family Promise has kind of changed their focus to try and prevent families from becoming homeless instead of helping families once they become homeless. Now, there has been help in this country in that there's a moratorium on kicking people out of their homes and out of their apartments, so that has really helped. But that does not mean that Family Promise is not doing anything. They are working super, super hard in supporting families in the community. So they're doing like a clothing drive this week for winter clothes, if anyone's interested in donating coats for that. They are also looking to rethink what they do, and they're looking for an apartment that's on a bus line near in Waukesha County, so that they could house a homeless family in that apartment to help them bridge the gap between homelessness and getting housing. So if any of you know realtors or people who own apartment buildings that would be willing to donate apartment or at least help Family Promise in finding an apartment that they could use to house homeless families, that would be outstanding. Another thing with Family Promise is our own Rebecca Seymour has just joined the board. How great is that? So this church is awesome. Volunteers all around. So Rebecca has joined the board. So that's Family Promise. On to preschool. We are busy and, like Amy said, doing everything a little differently this year, but we are so thrilled to be back. We were back as of June. We did a brand new class in June thinking that our parents needed a break, and boy, were we right. So we filled our class in June, and then we were back in August with a Friday Fun. I'm looking at Deb, because Deb Schuyler is the teacher for that. And then in September, we opened our doors to 34 children. We are currently working at 50% license capacity, and it's going really well. So one of the things that we are so blessed with is a church grounds that is just beautiful. So we do a lot of things outside. Our pavilion is getting used every single day. Our outdoor worship area is getting used every single day. Our playground is getting used every single day. So we've had to be very creative in how we share these areas. We see our Wednesday men's group out there and wave at them as they're doing the siding. The AA group has been very flexible in meeting in the outdoor worship area so that we can have snack in our pavilion. If it's raining out, a lot of times we're still outside, and like you should see the joy in the kids' faces when they're like, "Can we play in the rain?" Absolutely. A day like today when it's 30 and raining, no. But when it was 50 and raining, the kids had a lot of fun. So we are trying to work with everyone and be real creative on how to share the space. Fred had mentioned, no, Pastor Dave had mentioned Jen from the GED. Talk about creative. Her GED kids are coming in through the atrium downstairs instead of using the main door. So we're really, really trying hard to work together to have everybody be safe in this building and be able to use this building and to be back. Every Friday I walk in and I'm like, Jen, we've made it another week. We are still in person. So we get really excited about that. We have 3 kids this year that are on scholarship. I thank everybody in this church for their generosity because financially we are doing really well as a preschool. Jim helped get the PPP loan for us. We were also a part of that. We have also received some money from the state of Wisconsin. We've received some grant money for that. And so we are able to give 3 children a scholarship this year. We were able to spend $3,000 to spray the building for everyone. The next thing is we are going to be helping update the Wi-Fi downstairs. So we're working with Dave Debbing to update the Wi-Fi. And the reason we're doing that is we're going to be going to a web-based software app to check our families in. So we're doing things a little differently. We go get the kids at their cars in the morning and the parents do a health check before they come in, so there's a sheet of paper. Staff does a health check there's another sheet of paper. Visitors come in the classroom, there's another sheet of paper. So we estimated by the end of just this year alone, there would be 4,000 pieces of paper on file for us, just for checking kids in, That's not attendance, that's not, report cards, that's not anything. So we are going to jump into the 2020 with new software in order to do that. So we have purchased new iPads, they're not iPads, they're Android ones. Everyone knows what an iPad is. So new iPads and new software and new app in order to do all of this virtually. So now when our parents come up, they'll pick up their phone, they'll scan a little barcode, and they'll be able to do all of those checks online for us. So we are saving a lot of trees. We are simplifying everything for staff. And so we're so blessed to have like this financial generosity of both the church and what we have done in the past. So we are doing well that way. Let's see, I think that's it unless anyone has questions for us. Thank you. It's such a blessing to be back, you guys. It's such a blessing. Deb and I did not do well not working from March until June. It was ugly. So we're so happy to be back.
Thank you, Cindy, for those reports. I'd like to now call on spirituality. Tim?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tim Schuyler. I'm the chair for the Spirituality Ministry. Our members are Susan Pershon, Christy Staus, Mickey Kellner, Judy Schuyler, and Kay Hoppy. Both Pastor Dave and Fred have already mentioned several things that spirituality is involved in around the safety of the church and things that are going on. So I'll be sort of brief as to not do a whole lot of repetition. But obviously the safety of the congregation is of our utmost concern. I thank everyone for their patience and everything that we do, from our every other pew seating to using hand sanitizer to wearing masks. I hope that everyone that attends service feels comfortable and safe in this environment. As we prepare for what the holidays will look like, as Pastor Dave mentioned, it most likely will not look exactly the way that other Christmases have looked in our church, but we want to make sure that it is as enjoyable and welcoming to everyone as it possibly can be. One thing that we do have as a huge advantage in our church, even though we're limiting the capacity within the sanctuary to 25%, we have a very large fellowship hall that we've removed all the tables from, and we do have the capacity of putting chairs out there for more seating. So when we do have larger events, we do have the capacity to have more here present to worship with us. I believe our blended service has been going well. I know, as Fred had mentioned, it's not optimum. I know that some people prefer the connection service and the music that's provided there. Some people prefer the traditional service and the music styles that are there. But I think between Luke and Carl, they have done a tremendous job of bringing both aspects to our service so that all can feel connected and enjoy the service to the greatest extent possible. And so I'm very thankful for the work that they've done. As you've noticed, we've made some changes up here on the altar. We've tried to create spaces that are more open so that we can social distance for those that are helping to enhance our services through music. As Fred had mentioned, we are working on preparing goals for 2021 based on our new vision and mission statements, and we will have those wrapped up by the end of the year as requested so that they can be presented to the congregation. We are looking forward to the time, as everyone has mentioned, that we can come back together as a congregation, meet in a normal fashion, and fully participate as a church family. So, any questions for spirituality? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim, and I just want to add that Tim has done a tremendous job. He's here every Sunday. He's the entire ushering crew, I think, since we've come back. Typically we're rotating 4 people on a Sunday, so he's here. He did and implemented so much of the safety. He does have a health background. That's what he does for a living, so we're blessed to have him. But thank you so much, Tim, for all you've done. Now it is time for stewardship. Chris? Excuse me.
Should I stand back there and use this now?
Sure.
Well, one of the advantages of being kind of low in the alphabet is that I can just say ditto and sit back down. So it's all been said already.
Ditto.
Ditto. Okay. No, I'd get in trouble. He'd hurt me. I'm not going to say a whole lot because you're going to see a lot of us in the next couple of weeks. Stewardship Sunday is November 8th. Our committee's been working toward that date. Carol was nice enough to do the children's sermon. Hopefully caught a little bit of that stewardship message out of that. We'll be doing the chair chats the next couple of weeks. We have embraced the vision. We thought about what we wanted to be our theme for this year, and then we looked over and saw it was hanging on the wall and figured, okay, that'll work. So that's what we went with. We want you to begin to prayerfully consider what you want to give to the church. And again, it doesn't have to be money, though that's nice. But in regards to treasure, and that was so well said, is that treasure means a whole lot of things. It means time, it means money, it means effort and faith. And so it's that time of the year to start giving some thought to that. So I don't want to ruin my speech for 2 weeks from now, so I'm going to stop right there. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Carol, you did a great job today before you leave. That was wonderful, and Jim Meyer was fantastic last week with his presentation, so well done. I did receive a report that I'll read from Welcome Ministry, and Lois Jackson put this together. She writes, Welcome Ministry has met twice since our last report, September 8th and October 13th. Both meetings have been on Zoom, and we will continue meeting like that for November and December. At that final meeting for 2020, we will decide if we will continue meeting on Zoom into the new year. We are still operating under the church guidelines and are not having fellowship times after each service. In order to try to stay connected to each other, several families organized 2 cruises down the Oconomowoc River, and they were enjoyed so much. We have 2 of our members starting to organize Zoom get-togethers, and you will be hearing about that shortly. Watch for those opportunities. Please let us know if you have other ideas for ways we can keep in touch with each other. We need to show how much we care and miss being together. Caring Connections is busy organizing other opportunities, and hopefully you would like to be part of writing personal notes, emails, phone calls, home visits, etc. to our members and friends. Please pass your thoughts along to Barb Moeller. All volunteers will be most welcome and appreciated. We all know how important that contact is for all of us. As they say, we will all get through this together, and our God is leading us. Lois Jackson. Barb Moeller, anything on Caring Connection? Okay. Under our Constitution and bylaws, 2 auxiliary organizations have been established. They are Hearts and Hands Preschool, we already heard from Cindy, and Memorial Gardens Association. Is there any report from Memorial Gardens? Any update? Nope, we're good. Are there any other groups that wish to present reports to the congregation at this time? Okay. Thank you to everyone serving on a ministry, committee, project group, or who is serving our church in any capacity. We now move into a time where we have the opportunity to hear congregational feedback, insights, or concerns. One of the goals that the leadership team has discussed is an attempt to increase appropriate communication with all church members. If you have a thought you want to share or express an opinion, we just ask that you raise your hand. Teller will come over, again, state your name and give us your thoughts. So at this time, is there anyone here that would like to say anything, or if there's anybody online? I know there's a little bit of a delay. Anybody? Okay, that's good. We need to acknowledge the work, effort, patience, and additional time that it takes by so many to keep us going during the pandemic. A special shout out to our technology team led by Tom Stone. Tom has been here virtually every week. I think maybe he missed once or something since this has all started. So really appreciate your time, your effort, and technical expertise, and to the group that does the slides and puts that on. You've done a great job. We are one of the very few UCC churches in the state offering a live Sunday school. So that's a kudos to our education ministry and our Director of Youth, Amy Drua. Unless anyone has any additional items to discuss, I will now entertain a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn? Jim Mifflin. Is there a second? George Moeller. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're done. Thank you.